Let the glory of the Lord just rise among us. Let the glory of the Lord, let it rise among us. Let the praises to our King just rise among us. Let it rise. Let the songs of the Lord, let them rise among us. Let the songs of the Lord, let them rise among us. Let the joy of our King just rise among us. Let it rise. Sing, oh, let it rise. Sing, oh, let it rise. The glory of the Lord now rise among us. The glory of the Lord let it rise among us. Let the praises to our King just rise among us. Let it rise. Let the songs of the Lord now rise among us. Let the songs of the Lord let it rise among us. Let the joy of the King just rise among us. Let it rise. Sing, oh, let it rise. Sing, oh, let it rise. Let the glory, let the glory of the Lord now rise among us. Let the glory of the Lord let it rise among us. Let the praises to our King just rise among us. Let it rise. Let the songs of the Lord let it rise among us. Let the songs of the Lord let it rise among us. Let the joy of our King just rise among us. Let it rise. Sing, oh, let it rise. Sing, oh, let it rise. Let the glory, let the glory of the Lord now rise among us. Let the glory of the Lord let it rise among us. Let the praises to our King just rise among us. Let it rise. Let the songs of the Lord let it rise among us. Let the songs of the Lord let it rise among us. Let the joy of our King just rise among us. turned into wine. Open the eyes of the blind. There's no one like you. None like you. Into the darkness you shine. And out of the ashes we rise. There's no one like you. There's none like you. Our God is greater, and our God is stronger, and God, you are higher than any other. Our God is healer, He's awesome in power. Our God, our God. Into the darkness you shine, and out of the ashes we rise. There's no one like you. There's none like you. Our God is greater, and our God is stronger, and God, you are higher than any other. Our God is healer, He's also in power. Our God, our God. For our God is greater, and our God is stronger, and God, you are higher than any other. Our God is healer, He's also in power. Our God, our God. Christ, my Lord. Yes, He's the great Emmanuel. There is no other name. There is no other name. There is no other name worthy to be praised. There is no other name worthy to be praised. There is no other name worthy to be praised. Jesus Christ, my Lord. Yes, He's the great Emmanuel. For there is no other name. There is no other name. There is no other name worthy to be praised. Say your name. Your name, O Lord, is the tower into which we run in times of distress. You give us power to make us overcome by your name. It's the name of the Lord, by your name. The name of the Lord, by your name. The name of the Lord. There is no other name worthy to be praised. There is no other name worthy to be praised. Jesus Christ, my Lord. Yes, He's the great Emmanuel. There is no other name. 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 There is no other name worthy to be praised. Come on, give that name above every other name. Praise this place this morning. You are worthy, Lord Jesus. You may be seated today. Like I said, next week will be the last message on the blessed we're going to be dealing with this year. And like I said, we're ending the series dealing with Jesus' take on the blessed. And as I said each and every week as we got into this, I said you can choose to live your life based on love. And a lot of people do. And of course, you know, my kids, ever since they did this, it just sticks in my mind that I was talking a lot about, again, how a lot of people, you know, they'd rather be lucky than anything else. You know, if you go to Maryland Live or whatever, you want to be lucky. You don't want to go in there and lose money. You want to go in there to hopefully walk out with more than you went in there with. Odds are that's not going to happen because, again, luck cannot be counted on. Luck is not guaranteed. Luck is only temporary. Luck has no guarantees. And that's why, since the first year, I have been encouraging you to change the way you live. Stop trying to live by the rule and learn how to live blessed. Because living blessed has nothing to do with the circumstances that you're going through. You can be blessed, and we dealt with this in one of our subtitles, you can be blessed even on bad days. Living blessed comes with guarantees. So what you're going through has nothing to do with living a blessed life. A blessed life has all to do with being obedient. And again, I've shared with you, from the very beginning, when God created man from the very beginning, He has always desired to bless man. In fact, He did bless man from the very beginning. You read the first couple of chapters of Genesis, and you'll see it where God blessed them. God blessed them. God blessed them. So it is God's desire to bless mankind. And in fact, before Moses left this planet, as he was speaking Deuteronomy 28, in verses 1 through 14, he lists some ways that God desires to bless people. But that blessing can only happen, like I said, through obedience. Blessing only follows obedience. But that portion of Scripture can be summed up with two scriptures that are in there. One's verse 8 and one is verse 6. And it says, verse 6 says this, wherever you go, whatever you do, you will be blessed. I'm telling you, I want that to be in my life. No matter what I do, wherever I go, whatever I do, I want it to be blessed. And verse 8 says this, it says, the Lord will guarantee, He will guarantee a blessing on everything you do, and will fill your storehouses with grain, which means He'll make sure I have what I need. He'll make sure I'm sustained. The Lord, your God, will bless you in the land He is giving you. Which means, not only that, He's going to give us things. He's going to pour this thing out upon us. But again, this blessing can only happen if we are wholeheartedly obedient to Him. And each week we'll delve into. So what does blessed? Blessed means one who has received a gift or favor from God. Divinely or supremely favored. We're not talking about just being happy. Blessed is the opposite of cursed. So understand this. You are either blessed or you're cursed. One or the other. There's no middle ground. One is blessed. The other is blessed is the opposite of cursed. One is favor. The other is punishment. So we dealt with that for a while. Then about 3 weeks ago we started thinking about Jesus' take on this. What is Jesus' take on the blessed life? As we get into this, I want you to listen very carefully what Jesus has to say about the type of person that God blesses. Because Jesus takes what it means to be blessed or living a blessed life to a whole new level. Especially when I start to deal with the one next week, you'll see a little bit more because I'm going to read the Beatitudes to you, where he says God blesses those. So the last three verses of the Beatitudes, which we'll deal with next week, I'm going to combine together. But like I said, He takes it to a whole new level. But let's just look at this real quickly. What does Jesus have to say about being blessed? In Matthew chapter 5, verses 3 through 12, this is what we read. It says, God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for Him, for theirs is the kingdom, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. God blesses those who are humble, for they will inherit the whole earth. God blesses those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will be satisfied. God blesses those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. God blesses those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. God blesses those who are persecuted for doing right, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way. And I have this there. So this describes those who have truly found God and are obedient to Him. But Jesus lists some things there. We dealt with all this so far. Today we are on verse 9 where He says, God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. So just looking at that just at the face of it, that should let us know, if we desire to be a child of God, what must we be? An individual who does what? Who works for peace. If we want to be called a child of God, we need to be an individual who works for peace.
there are three types of people in this world. They are peacemakers, peace breakers, and peacemakers. We're going to look at these three this morning. I'm going to spend a little bit of time just describing the first two, and then we're going to take a little bit longer looking at what it means or how you become a peacemaker. But first off, there is the peacefaker. What do I mean by a peacefaker? A peacefaker are those who they go at any lengths to avoid conflict. That they will do anything possible to avoid confrontation or to avoid an argument. And they think they're acquiring peace by doing it, but it's actually a counterfeit peace. Because they don't want to upset somebody. They don't want to make somebody mad. Or they'll just give up and give in to an issue, even though it may be a very, very vital issue. Some people who are peacemakers, they try to ride both sides of the fence to avoid conflict. They'll agree with one person on this side. When they talk to somebody else, they'll agree with them on that side. Again, they do everything they can to try to avoid any type of conflict. Even they'll disagree even if it's completely opposite directions, because they don't want to deal with any kind of conflict, confrontation, or argument. So that's how they think they make peace, by just basically agreeing with everyone. There's a story told of a pastor who saw a good friend of his going in the wrong direction. So he decided what he was going to do. He was going to say something to him. He just sort of tried to speak to them. So he went to that person very gently and in a very kind way and began to tell that person what he saw. But as unfortunately that happens too many times, this individual got very, very upset, got very, very angry at the pastor, so the pastor backed off and just kept his mouth shut. And sure enough, after a little bit of time passed, this person went down the road that the pastor thought they were going to, and also ruin and destruction came upon their lives. That pastor approached this person and said, I want to let you know I have failed you, and I want you to forgive me for that. He says, because when I told you this, I should not have backed off. He says, I should have came after you so much and told you, I don't care if you are mad at me, I don't care if you like me, I don't care if you hit me. The thing is, I love you too much to go down this road. See, he was trying to avoid conflict. And the pastor said, I should have done it because I love you. See, because avoiding conflict at any price is not peace. So that's a peace thing. And then there are peace breakers. I'm going to tell you, each one of those names here this morning, each one of us fit into one of these categories. And at times we may fit into all three. Okay? But peace breakers. Peace breakers are people who go out of their way to cause trouble and division. They are just plain troublemakers. They are deliberately confrontational. They walk around with a chip on their shoulder looking to pick a fight. They will fight about anything and everything, even if it doesn't really matter. They disagree just to disagree. I want you to listen to what Proverbs says about troublemakers. In Proverbs 16:28 it says this, a troublemaker plants seeds of strife. Gossip separates the best of friends. See, friendship is characterized by learning to get along with people. In the church, we should be friends because we are a family. We understand, because God is our Father. Jesus is our big brother and our Savior. We are brothers and sisters in Christ. And we need peacemakers in the church. We need people whose goal is unity. And we need to strive ourselves to be unified, to have unity in our church. But the easiest way to be a peace breaker is the use of your tongue. It's funny that she said that today when she was talking about, when she brought up about, a perfect person, the same person who can bridle their tongue. But the easiest way to be a peace breaker is with the use of your tongue. Who here, whether intentionally, and I'm going to sort of get jumped up here too, and unintentionally, has ever blurted something out, you knew if you blurted it out. Sometimes you blurt it out without thinking, there's other times you do blurt it out thinking. And you knew if you utter this, that all hell's going to break loose. The quickest way to be a peace breaker is with our mouth. I'm going to tell myself here. Earlier this week, Michael was with me, this happened. I get a phone call. My brother on the phone, and he says something. And if you're ever going to say something you don't want anybody else to know that's on the other side of the phone, make sure they don't have their phone on speaker. And I told my brother Paul, he was telling me something, and then all of a sudden I blurted out to him and said, well, I am very, very frustrated with this person. I'm very, very aggravated with them right now. And I named the person. Well, he had his phone on speaker, and that person was in the room.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I think his eyes, again, I wasn't there, I noticed the tone in his voice changed and all that stuff. He says, I'll call you back. And then all of a sudden he sent out a text that says, I had just walked into a hornet's nest. And it was a hornet's nest that I created. And because what it was, they only heard that statement without knowing why I was saying that. And then later on that day, I got a chance to talk to that person, explain to him why I felt the way I did, and everything's fine now. But initially, I put my brother in a very awkward situation. I became a peace breaker at that time. That's what I said. Many of us, we're going to find out. We're going to find ourselves in stuff. You know, yes. So I am not a perfect man, as I sort of teased. There are times when you can use our tongue, and all of a sudden, we may not necessarily mean it to be that way, but that will happen. So I explained to the individual why I felt that way, and he said, oh, okay. So, but yeah, all right, we'll just leave it there. All right. But the easiest way to be a peace breaker is by the use of your tongue. Gossip, slander, being a busybody, being judgmental, these things don't belong in the church. And in fact, when I was talking to Ninja later on today, I said, you know what? I said, I'm sorry you said that because I shouldn't have said that. You know, if something was bothering me, I should have said, letting it build up. I probably should have called you, but I've probably been so aggravated when I called. So I guess maybe it worked out the way it did. I don't know. It worked out. I'm just telling you, it worked out. But I did talk to you. We got to be careful. We need to get rid of these things. These are, you know, we are here to build each other up, not to tear each other down. That's the thing. We're here to build each other up, not to tear each other down. That's the thing. We're here to build each other up, not to tear each other down. We are here to create unity, not division. Before we start looking at others, we need to listen to what we are saying ourselves. We need to be aware of what's coming out of our own mouths. We need to hear the words that come out of our mouths first. We need to really listen to that. We need to ask, are my words building up or are they tearing down? Because that is very, very vital. It's very, very important. All of us are capable of doing both. We can either build up or we can tear down. We can either bless or we can curse. This is what James says in James 3:10. He says, and so blessing and cursing come pouring out of the same mouth. Surely, my brothers and sisters, this is not right. See, a peace breaker will just sit there and just let it fly and not care the consequences. But we, being children of God, we need to be concerned about the words that come out of our mouth. Because God desires peacemakers, not peace breakers or peace fakers. Then the third person you can be is a peacemaker. God wants us to be peacemakers above everything else. Remember, what our main text said this, God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. Again, it sounds like to me it's a prerequisite of being a child of God. If you want to be declared a child of God, the question you have to ask yourself this morning, am I a peacemaker? Am I a peacemaker? Or am I a person that I just want to argue? Am I a peace faker? Am I a peace breaker? You need to be a peacemaker. If you want to be called a child of God, again, this isn't me saying this. Who said these words? These letters are in red. So what does it mean if they're red in the Bible? That means they're the words of Jesus. This is Jesus saying this. I mean, I don't have it read up there, but if you look in the Bible, it's in there, okay? You probably say, no, they look white up there, Pastor. But these are the words of Jesus. And Jesus says that God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. See, peacemakers are a very different kind of people. Let me give you some reasons why they are different. A, peacemakers pay attention to what they say. Peacemakers are prepared to tell the truth and to trust God for the outcome. They want peace without compromise. They want peace that is lasting and worthwhile. When they try to help people, they do it gently. Listen to what Proverbs 15:1 says. A gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words makes tempers flare. Now again, going back to me again, I can pick on me since it was me this week that all this happened to, okay? If I would have, when the phone call would have came, if I would have kept on my own little high horse about where I was aggravated about something, I could have kept this whole thing going. I could have let it truly, because again, it was with a family member, okay? I could have let this blow up into something that could have put a fracture in my family. If I decide, you know what, I don't care what they think, I said it, yeah, they just need to get over it. Because basically, as soon as it came out of my mouth, and especially since I realized this individual heard it, because first off, I didn't say it to hurt this individual. I was just speaking out frustration. But again, God very quickly quickened something within me. And I realized, I said, I was wrong. Yeah, I may have felt sort of justified in how I was feeling, but I was wrong in what I did. So I did everything possible to make sure that the situation was diffused. Now again, probably sometime later on in the future, quite possibly, it could come back to haunt me. This person may bring it up later on sometime. I don't know. But again, I did everything I could to try to make sure that I rectified the situation, because if I would have just really been the person that God's called me to be, and I would have just been talking the way I should have instead of out of aggravation, I would have used gentle words in that conversation instead of uttering out something that would cause tempers to flare. Because then what it says is a gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words makes tempers flare. See, we know that we can add fuel to a fire if we want to. And as believers in Christ, I mean, we need to be aware of that. We need to make sure that we're just not pouring gasoline on the situation. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden light a match. And then pour more gasoline on it. Makes me think of this, whenever we have a fall harvest party at Don Dar's, Don throughout the summer collects wood, and he puts it in it's like a watering trough that whenever that farm up there had like livestock, there's this concrete over concrete walls, so there's this huge pile of wood. Well, what we do to get it to where it'll light quickly is he gives us gasoline, and we pour it all over that wood pile. You pour gasoline out, how many of you know gasoline can catch on fire, but the most dangerous part of gasoline is the fumes. Mm-hmm. Because your car, you don't burn raw gas, you burn the gas of gasoline, which compresses into a gas form. That's what gives you the boom, the explosion. So after the first year we didn't know this, we did it. We put that gasoline on, and we're standing fairly close. Well, I think Bruce did himself. He was standing pretty close. He lights this like little torch thing. He throws it in there, and all of a sudden we hear, boom! I mean, a flame shoots up into the sky. I don't know how far or whatever. And each year we tried to avoid that. So last year, I forget who was helping me. We were doing the last year we did it, and I said, let's have it ready. So as soon as we put that gas in there, we're going to throw it and we're going to run. Pretty bad when you throw a flame on something. You're running from it. It wasn't as bad as it was that first year, but we still had a boom that sort of came out of it. Like I said, and the thing is, if we're not careful, we can keep on pouring stuff on stuff and literally have a huge explosion that doesn't need to be. And as children of God, we need to be careful that we're not pouring it, that we're not making the situation worse. That we need to have a spirit about us where we will give a gentle answer, because peacemakers pay attention to what they say. If you want to be a child of God, you've got to be a peacemaker. One of the qualities of a peacemaker is we pay attention to what we say. B, peacemakers attack the problem, not the person. Did you hear me? Peacemakers attack the problem, not the person. See, you can't focus on fixing the problem if you're focused on blaming at the same time. It's impossible. If you think you're a peacemaker, but all you do is blame the other person for the problem, then you're not a peacemaker. Because it's not really that individual. So probably got to focus on the problem. Because you're still trying to pick a fight. And if you're still trying to establish blame, you're still bitter. Focus on the problem, not the person. Ephesians 4 says it this way. Verses 31 and 32 says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. The reason why we're to be this way is what it says in that last part of verse 32. Why should we speak gently to people? Why should we desire peace? Why should we not take things that they say offend us so much? Because the same way as Christ has forgiven us, we need to forgive others. You're forgiving one another just as God through Christ has forgiven you. Think about it. Imagine if God held a grudge. If Jesus held a grudge. And they don't. I'm glad they don't. God says, when we come, when we ask for forgiveness, He says, I will remember that no more. Others, He'll choose to remember it no more. I used to think it means that He just forgot. I know God has the power to forget if He wants. But think about it. It's even greater power to say, yes, I know it's there, but I choose not to remember it. I choose not to revisit it. And that's what happens at salvation. God chooses not to revisit all of our junk. And yet, what do we do so many times? We revisit other people's junk. We have to choose to remember it no more. We have to choose to forgive them the same way that Christ forgave us. That's when we know that we'll be called a child of God. God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. If we want to be a child of God, we must work for peace. And realize we need to focus on the problem, not the person. Attack the problem, not the person. And then C, peacemakers emphasize relationships above resolution. Relationships are what's vital. Romans 12:18 says, do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. You don't have to raise your hand, because I know many of us here can't raise our hand to this. But how many of us strive to do that? Now, again, when you read that, it makes you sort of think, well, are you telling me to be a peace faker? No, I'm not. I'm telling you to pursue peace in the right way. We're going to get into some of that, okay? But do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. Not just those individuals you like. Because there are some people, let's be honest, there are some people that are very hard to get along with.
Yes.
I thought I'd get more of an amen than that.
Yes.
There are some people that are very hard to get along with.
Amen.
All right. That sounds the way it should. And some of you are still on, but never mind.
Yeah.
But do all you can to get along with them. We need to strive to do all we can to get along, because here's the truth. Peace always has a price. Do you want to know what the price of peace is? Well, I'm going to tell you anyway, whether you want to know or not. If you want peace in your home, your marriage, your church, your job, wherever, there is always a price. Here's what's going to cost you. It will cost you your self-centeredness. It will cost you your selfishness. It will cost you your self-inflated ego. In other words, it will cost you getting the focus off of me, myself, and I onto someone else. You may need to say, maybe my wife was right. I can remember. Maybe my wife was right. Maybe my husband has a point. Maybe my coworker has a legitimate right, or my boss, or whoever. Sometimes I was saying we need to start to try to view things through the eyes of them. See where they're coming from. See? Peace has a price. And it's this, letting go of self to let God take control. See, too many times we're still trying to be in control instead of letting God take control. Instead of us truly trusting God to work in the situation, to work it out, and understand that He is the God of peace. He's the God of all comfort. He's the God who can do many miraculous things. Too many times we try to hold on to the reins instead of letting Him say, God, I trust you. And truly begin to pray about this situation. And realize it's about relationships. See, God is in the peacemaking business. God has called us to be in the peacemaking business too. Because again, why? If we want to be called children of God, we must be a peacemaker. Because God blesses those who work for peace; they will be called the children of God. So if you want to be a child of God, you must be an individual who is striving and working towards peace. See, God says that relationships are important. That's what life is all about. It's about relationship. When it's all said and done, it won't be about our possessions. It will be about the relationships that we have. Heaven is about a relationship. Do you realize that? Heaven's about a relationship. How many of y'all agree with it? Heaven's about a relationship. I'll prove it to you in this one statement. I'm going to ask you a question. How do you make it to heaven? How do you make it to heaven? Well, we know by believing in Jesus Christ and by what? Having a relationship with Him. Heaven is all about relationship. A relationship is what gets you into heaven. That's why relationships are so important to God. Because again, in order to get to heaven, we must have a relationship with Jesus Christ. See, we won't have stuff in heaven, but we will have each other and Jesus too. Relationships matter. Relationships need to be emphasized above resolution. And in closing, I want to share this with you. I said, Jesus is a peacemaker. He changes things. But He's a peacemaker in a lot of different ways. He's a peacemaker when it comes to relationship, but He's also a peacemaker when it comes even things of life. Because where there's a storm, either literally or relationally, He creates a calm. Where there's chaos, He creates order. Where there's bitterness and strife, He creates peace. He is the Prince of Peace. He has called us to be peacemakers too. Although when we see a storm arising, we need to bring calm. Whenever there's chaos arising, we need to try to create order. When there's bitterness and strife, we need to try to strive and create peace. In Matthew chapter 8 and Mark chapter 4, there's a story of a storm. The storm was strong. The storm was powerful. The storm was life-threatening. The storm was so fierce that the disciples, who most of them were watermen, they were fishermen, they were used to being on the water, they literally thought they were going to die. Their little boat was being tossed about like a little toy. And they became very, very afraid. They were afraid of the storm. Waves were coming in all over the sides. But I want to remind you what Jesus did. In Matthew 8, verse 26, it says, "And Jesus responded, 'Why are you afraid? Why have you so little faith?' Then He got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and suddenly there was a great calm." See, many times in our life, You know, this past Tuesday, we were talking about the difference between contract and covenant. What was this one? In a contract, we try to protect our rights. We try to limit our responsibility. And with a commitment, with a covenant, we give away our rights and pick up our responsibilities. And too many times when we find ourselves in a storm of life, in a storm of relationships, instead of us truly trusting the Lord to come about and just really take a hold of the situation, we get fearful. He said, why are you so fearful? Why are you afraid? We need to understand, if we're a believer in Jesus Christ, who is with us? He is the storm calmer. He is the peace speaker and the peacemaker. And we need to trust Him to be the one who He declares to be. Because in this actual storm, that's what He showed Himself to be in the life of the disciples. But it's more than just this actual storm, but it's also in those metaphorical storms. He's able to bring that peace and speak that peace if only we will trust in Him and have faith in Him. We become a peacemaker by following His example. Like I said, Jesus could do the same thing in our life as He did in the storm if we let Him. So how can you be a peacemaker? It all begins by knowing the Prince of Peace, Jesus. That's the starting point. Unless you're there, nothing else, it doesn't work. It all begins by knowing the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. It all begins by having a relationship with Him. He wants you to trust Him, to believe in Him, to have faith in Him. He has the ability to change things. He has the ability to fix that which is broken. He can calm the storms in your life. But it all resorts to how can you be a peacemaker? It all starts by having a relationship with Him. Because He's the one that will allow you to give a gentle answer to a question or a situation instead of throwing fuel on the fire. It truly is about a heart, as we talked about last week, a heart that is yielded to Him. We all, because we're believers in Jesus Christ, we claim to be, we all have the potential, it's been given within us to where we can be a peacemaker. Because unless we are, we cannot be called a child of God. We must be about the business of making peace. Speaking the truth in gentleness and love for what's right. Not always trying to stir up something, but bringing peace. And one thing we do, even though we know, because actually, if anybody's reading Save the City, this week started with talking about pray for peace. Anybody read it? It says pray for peace. And I said, Lord, what a timely thing is what I'm talking about today. Even though we know we will not have peace in this world, true peace in this world, until Jesus comes back. It won't be worldwide until Jesus comes back. We and ourselves in the world in which we live can strive to work for peace and offer people the peace that God promises them. Because Jesus says, my peace I'll live with you. My peace I give unto you. He says we can do this. But unless we are people who strive and work for peace, we will not be called the children of God. And I know all of us here, if you're here this morning for some reason, you desire to know God somehow in some way. But if you truly want to be known as a child of God, you have to be an individual who works for peace. You know, I just shared with you what the Lord's placed upon my heart this morning. And I pray it finds fertile ground to be seated on and then to grow in. So you can truly become the child of God that He desires for you to be. And again, peace comes with a price. And what is it? By denying self. And that's one of the hardest things, because all we're bombarded with, especially in America, time and time again, is me, 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 me. It's not about others. It's about me. And the sad part is that very mindset has crept into the church. And it needs to be one of the farthest things in the church that can possibly be. We need to be about others, and by being about others, we're about Him. We need to truly get rid of self and focus on others and strive to work at peace. And then we know will be called the children of God. Like I said, next week, we might have musicians to come up. Next week, we're going to close this series out. I want to encourage you to be here because we're going to deal with those last 3 verses where Jesus really throws, well, a lot of times our concept of being blessed on its ear. He flips it upside down. Because a lot of times we look at the blessed life as going one way, and all of a sudden now Jesus, he's going to throw a curveball. And it's going to rock your world, or it has the potential to rock your world. But I tell you, doing things and understanding the way that Jesus taught them is the best thing for you. Amen? I'm going to ask you to stand with us this morning. The whole gist, I want you to sort of get an understanding about the purpose of being a peacemaker. Yes, about us being a child of God, being known as children of God. It's not to bring glory to us. All this stuff is always to point glory to Him. Everything we talked about in this blessed life really isn't about us at all. Because remember, I said, we are blessed to do what? To bless others. See, yeah, being a peacemaker sometimes works a little bit for us, but since there's a price for making peace, sometimes we don't consider that to be in our best interest. Because who here ever wants to deny self? Honestly, who here ever wants to deny self? We don't. Why? Because, let's be honest, what hurts, and to be honest, we're all, to some degree, whether we say it or not, or maybe to a lot, we're selfish. Because the world revolves around who? Me. That's one of the, let me just, I'm gonna throw this out here real quick. Parents, if you are making everything in your life, in your kids' life about them, you are doing such a disservice to them. Because they live in a world a whole lot bigger than them. And they understand the world does not revolve around them.
That's right.
And they need to be taught to respect others, to think about others. And if we're not doing that, you're doing a big disservice to your kids. Okay, now I'm on the soapbox, okay? It just sort of came. I don't know why. But again, I'm just saying. Because this is all about Him. And so I want to end our time together focusing on Him, because this song is called Fill the Glory. And the chorus simply says this: glorify your name. We're not asking Him to glorify us. We're not asking Him to make us look good. I want Him to look good through me. And it's not about me, it's about Him. I want whatever He does, the point in others just be reflected, let it reflect off me up to Him, giving glory to Him. When we're talking about dealing with others and putting them first, it's bringing glory back to Him. But the only way we can do this is we humble ourselves down, we get off our own little pedestals, off our own little high horses, and truly humble ourselves before Him and allow truly all glory and praise go to Him. The same with His peace. The only can work is by making Him the center focus. Then you can truly be a person who works for peace when you make Him the center focus. So I want to encourage you to do that. And as we sing this song this morning, if God is speaking to your heart this morning, again, you may be here this morning and what I appreciate you to get past tonight, but that's not what I need. Maybe you just need to seek God and pray. This altar's open to it. We want to pray for you. Whatever the need is, we want to pray for you this morning. Maybe they may be spoken and say, Lord, I need to work on this. Yeah, I can see where I am, a little bit of a faker. Maybe a whole lot of... No, I'm not claiming to break the Lord. I'm sort of... But Lord, I want to be the maker. I want to be a peacemaker. And that's you. Why don't you spend a little time talking to Him? It's amazing how things can change when you have a little conversation with Jesus. And how your outlook can change when you have a little conversation with Jesus. And just use this song as a prayer this morning. Say, Lord, I want my life to glorify you. I want to glorify you. Amen? Just sing this with me and say, as we all bow down, as we all come, casting off our crowns, would you hear our cry? We want to see you glorified. As we all bow down, as we all come,
off our crowns. Would you hear our cry? We want to see you glorified. Let's just give you desire and say, glorify your name. Glorify your name, yes, Lord. Glorify your name. We want to see you glorified.